My name is Joycelin and I'm 22 years old. I've been going to this church for, I guess, around 8 years now. I just graduated from college, and my family joined the church when I was a freshman in high school, so at the very end of my freshman year. And before that, we hadn't really been part of a church for a long time. We'd been worshiping at home on the family room couch, singing songs and reading the Bible together, and that was really fun. But we really did sort of crave a Christian community that was larger than just our family, and that's what we found here at TBC. I remember coming here with my brother and joining the Sunday school class and just thinking like, oh wow, like there are other people who want to learn more about Jesus too, and we can just kind of talk with him, or we can just talk about him with other people, and so that was just really fun. It was actually in this very room. We had kind of a couch set up, and David Shee was the Sunday school teacher then, and so yeah, he was just really great at coming up with games for all of us, and asking us good questions, probing questions, hard questions, like the sort of questions you sort of really want to be asked when you're just learning to explore your faith as an adolescent. Things like, like how, what is our role in friendships where people around us aren't Christian? Or like how do we really show the love of God in our school, in our like recreational activities? What's the intersection of academics and faith? Like how can we balance all these different poles and all these different idols in our lives, and how can we really figure out like what truth to follow? So he was really good at sparking conversation. So I know that I really enjoyed his Sunday school classes, and that David, my brother, really did as well. But yeah, it's been kind of fun growing up a little bit in this church and seeing all the new babies and the people getting married, and the congregation changes and shifts a little bit as people come and go. But it's nice seeing how people unite around this common faith that they're willing to explore with one another, and how eager people are to sort of share different cultures and talk about what it means to be white and Christian, or Asian and Christian, or Taiwanese and Christian, like all these different identities that we kind of hold close to us, and we figure out what's most important and how our identities influence our other identities. So it's been really a fun dynamic here, and there are just some really incredible people in this church who have just poured into me. I felt so blessed to know them and to receive their gifts of wisdom and guidance and mentorship over the years.
A couple of weeks ago, I learned from your father about his side of the heritage, of the lineage. Are you familiar with that?
I know a little bit about my dad's lineage. So he is half Swedish and half German, and those identities have sort of played into his understanding of who he is. And I guess that makes me a quarter Swedish and a quarter German, but I don't necessarily have a strong enough connection to either of those countries to know exactly what that means.
So you don't have relatives on that side?
I don't know any of my relatives who still live in those countries. Most of my family on my dad's side is actually in Middle America, so Missouri and Illinois.
So your family is the only straight family you know?
I'm sorry?
The straight family.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever met any other Streets, so, who aren't directly related to us in some way.
How about your mother's side relatives?
So most of them are still in Taiwan, so it's been fun over the years getting to visit them. So I've been to Taiwan 3 times now. If I remember correctly, it was once when I was 2, once when I was 5, and once when I was 16. And it's always such a joy getting to meet these people who I share some sort of connection with, even if I don't know them very well personally. But for a while when I was younger, my grandfather and my grandmother on my mom's side would come and sometimes spend the summer with us in St. Louis or in Salt Lake City when we were living there. And that was really, really cool, getting to know this person who was so close to me, who lives so far away most of the time.
Do you know why I moved the camera toward you? Because of the noise.
I see.
I didn't realize that we have noise next door and from so the closer the microphone is,
Yeah,
the more we kind of push out the
that's
noise.
totally fine.
What is your favorite subject
To study?
in your studies?
Oh, that's a really hard question.
Well,
That's a really
or
difficult question.
it doesn't have to be the only favorite, but
Yeah.
something you like to talk about.
I think this is.
I know
really
you
difficult.
did a lot of debate.
I did do a lot of debate in high school. Yeah. I didn't do any of it in college, but I think my interest in debate really honed my passion for sort of logic and argumentation. So I was an English major in college, actually, and I loved that. It was so much fun. And I was pre-med as well, and that was wonderful, because I think if I had to choose two favorite subjects, it would probably be English and biology. So I just got to do tons of that in college. Yeah, I think more so than particular subjects, though, what I'm most interested in is the intersection of subjects, of disciplines. So I think interdisciplinary work is where a lot of energy now lies in academia and beyond. So the medical humanities, for instance, or narrative medicine, or stories of illness, cultural narratives of illness, those are all so fascinating to me. And I think those fields are really growing as people start to understand the implications of story and narrative in both the individual doctor-patient interaction, but also in sort of like policy changes, in cultural attitudes towards particular diseases, towards death, towards life, towards birth. All of that can be kind of picked apart if you're informed by both humanistic type thinking and also sort of the deeper biology of disease.
No, I didn't know that you majored in English.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I loved
Were
it.
you on the literature side or the language side?
I was more on the literature side. Yeah, literature side.
Literature.
And also its intersections with sort of cultural
Okay.
studies. Mhm.
Cultural study.
Yeah.
Not you're not into the writing part.
Oh, I've always loved writing. I didn't take a lot of writing classes in college.
You
I mean,
did,
I was doing
but-
plenty of, paper
Yeah,
writing.
But I understand that being a English major, you could be concentrating on producing
Yeah,
or
there's sort of the creative or
on
critical.
understanding other people's writing.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
which side do you?
Yeah,
see yourself?
if you to divide the English discipline into critical and creative work, my work in college was always on the critical side of things. So literary criticism and cultural commentary is what I really enjoyed. But at the same time, I love creative writing. I love creative nonfiction, especially. That's kind of my favorite subject, or my favorite genre. And so I'm hoping I'll get a chance to engage with that a little bit more. I think physicians who are kind of tuned into the humanities can often affect a lot of change through writing for the public. So authors like Abraham Verghese or Atul Gawande are people who do an amazing job utilizing creative nonfiction in order to demonstrate a particular point about healthcare culture, healthcare policy, etc., to a larger audience. So sometimes the biggest changes that can happen in healthcare don't start in the pages of an academic journal. Sometimes they start in the New Yorker or the New York Times, in op-ed columns, on online blogs. So there's a big future for nonfiction writing that's very much influenced by a person's individual story and perspective.
I heard that you'll be going to medical school. Is
That's
that right?
the plan, yeah. I'm taking 2 years off before I go, so I haven't even applied yet.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah.
But there is a chance. It's possible.
Oh, I
that
mean,
you,
I do want to go to medical school.
you do want to go.
So I'll be applying for entrance or for matriculation into the class of 2015.
Have you heard of any physicians, MDs, that has the literature background?
Yeah, it's amazing how many people are actually.
Many?
I mean, not many.
Not
I think there's still in a lot of institutions, the idea that in order to be a good doctor, you had to have majored in neuroscience or biology or chemistry. And I don't mean to discount those disciplines, because I know that there's so much that you can learn in those fields that are, this can be crucial when you're practicing to be a doctor. But there's more and more dialogue about how important the humanities can be for a life in medicine. So there are a number of pretty famous doctors who have been influenced somehow by literature. So Rita Sharon is probably the most famous. She's up at Columbia, and she pioneered the field of narrative medicine, examining how skills learned in the humanities can be applied to the doctor-patient interaction. So she has her PhD in literature as well. But some of my mentors at Duke have definitely had lots of experience in the humanities. I've met MDs who have had PhDs in philosophy, in literature, in history. One of my pre-med advisors was an English major when she was in college before she became a doctor. So it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Wow, that's good. I just learned that you're going to Malaysia to do
On
research.
Tuesday. I'm really interested in end-of-life care, and particularly interested in pediatric palliative care. So I'll be spending this next year next 10 months or so in Malaysia, working at a children's cancer center, doing some research there.
But what particular area of research you'll be involved in?
So I haven't developed my research question yet, but what I am interested in studying is the particular needs and resources of children and their families at the end of life, and how an institution could work to meet those needs. I'm interested in the narratives that are propagated in an environment of sickness and an illness. What kind of narratives people tell themselves, what kind of narratives people tell each other, what kind of narratives really are pervasive in the culture, and how they influence how people approach the end of life. So I'd like to explore all those questions.
So you're not doing the biology, chemistry, that kind of research?
No, there's plenty of time for me to do that in medical school. So I've got a lot of that ahead.